Since Samson's going to be joining again, I want to ask which Game 7 was more devastating for him? The Pacers or the Blue Jays? Which was easier to quote unquote move on from? I know the answer to this, but I'll allow you to say your thoughts.
The Pacers was much worse. Like much,
Really?
much
Okay,
worse.
I didn't think that's what you were going to say at all. I didn't think that's what you were going to say.
No, the Blue Jays have won before, and the Blue Jays, like they were similar to the Pacers in that they weren't supposed to be there. That was the predominant. That's how everyone looked at it. They were, I think, the underdogs in a lot of their playoff series. But I think that because the Blue Jays have some expectation, all the fans are really excited about like running it back next year. And the Blue Jays are a really rich team. They can spend money, and it's not a salary cap sport, so they can go nuts. They could sign like one of the best outfielders in the league, Kyle Tucker, if they really put the screws to the financials. The Not only that, I really like Tyrese Halliburton. I really like the kindness that he shows to the world and also to my friend Caitlin. I think that's like the Tyrese and Rick have both, for somebody, Caitlin, who has like a Patreon and needs exposure, them shouting her out and saying like, hey, go here, that kind of stuff. Tyrese, I think, is a good man. Watching what happened there, it upset me. It was like actually viscerally upsetting to watch that happen. I hated it, and it also it's you start the watch and you say you don't get to come back to this for about a year. That's so much worse. And the Blue Jays, while it was heartbreaking the way that it ended, there's none of the other stuff. And the Pacers, they haven't won an NBA championship yet. And every time they come close, there's like just this like, are you kidding me? This is how it went? That's so the Pacers thing, because I'm not, I'm a Raptors fan growing up and now I cover them. The Pacers, I thought that was a special team with guys I know, guys I talked to for a long time, like Pascal, a guy that I really think is an exemplary person in Tyrese, and just a great collection of men. And it was extremely upsetting to see it go the way that it did. I think it's far more than the Blue Jays. That's a long-winded answer, but
I'm
yeah.
not smiling because any of this is good. I'm smiling because I'm just so shocked by this answer.
Well, yeah.
I did not think this is what you were going to say at all. Like, I will say for myself, obviously, I watched a little bit of the Blue Jays Game 7. I'm not really a baseball person. I did watch it, mainly for Blake reasons, because I was hoping good things for your mortal enemy. But
who will be on the podcast soon?
yeah, mainly for Blake reasons. But when I wrote the piece that I wrote that was from a more personal place, I cried when I wrote that article that day. Like, this was a hard thing to watch. And like, I think for Pacer fans, like that's kind of what has made this season all the more difficult as well. Cause you're literally having to live out this grief every basketball game.
Yep.
Like even the game that they played against the Raptors, and I clipped it, like you're watching Tyrese from the sidelines calling out a play, which I mean, it was the play that they run at the end of every first and third quarter, but like trying to help his team in that way. And like watching him at times feeling kind of like what he looks like is like kind of helpless from the bench. Like, I want to make this situation better. And there's not a lot he can do from it. And also from the fan perspective, like knowing, like I remember the first night my nephew was watching the Oklahoma City Thunder game with me because I needed to watch him. And he was like, we're not going to get to watch Tyrese play the whole year.
He's just so human during it all. And it was just like, there wasn't any of the like tough. It was like, he knew the moment, he knew what it meant, and he knew what happened immediately. And similar to how he plays basketball, where he has an awareness of all things going on at once, that's why his reaction was the way it was to the injury, because he knew everything. Everything I just said about how it affects the team and everything like that, he knew it in the moment. And it was just like, damn. Very few times in sports do things culminate in such a way. And just for fuck, like a good guy. And I was just like, damn. Yeah, it's still, to think about it, it actually upsets me.
You know what? One of the good things that has come from this 2-15 start is Samson. Never again do I want to hear from the Tyrese Halliburton box score warriors. Never again. I don't ever want to be told, oh, he's only 2 of 7 from the field, and if he doesn't start doing, no.
Like, he's Teflon.
I don't want to hear it again, because this is, as Rick referred to them many times, this is an ecosystem type team. And this is what I kept trying to reinforce to everybody while they've had the amount of injuries that they've had. This is a team that needs everybody, and they've barely had anybody. So no, it is not solely because Tyrese is out or because Miles went to the Milwaukee Bucks that what's befallen them has befallen them. It matters. Like when I was just showing those Isaiah Jackson clips, Aaron Nesmith is a 40% movement shooter who isn't on the court anymore. That matters. It matters that Obi Toppin isn't out there to play spread 5 at times and they're having to play double big lineups. It matters that Aaron and Jarris are having to do more self-creation. And the thing that I'm going to show is now, even when Andrew Nembhard and TJ McConnell are both back, and something I'm sure Samson can relate to now because I've seen some very good minutes with Emmanuel Quickley and Jamal Shead on the floor at the same time, is this was a team that typically wanted to play with at least 2 point guards on the floor.
Yep.
And now they can barely ever do that. And the thing that's really hard for Andrew Nembhard is, which I showed this on Twitter, I don't have the clips here, is after they played the Phoenix Suns, Dylan Brooks was face guarding Andrew Nembhard, 94 feet, preventing him from getting the ball, and the Pacers are having to throw the ball to Jeremiah Robinson-Earl. And that's not me trying to slander Jeremiah Robinson-Earl, who's given them nice minutes and has now played himself into a standard contract. He's not a secondary ball handler. The player that was doing that in the past was Andrew Nembhard, and now Andrew Nembhard, as I said many times over the summer, doesn't have an Andrew Nembhard to do that job for him last night. And this stood out heavily last night against the Detroit Pistons because Andrew Nembhard defends Cade Cunningham for 45 half-court matchups in this game. That is the most that any player all year in any game against the Pistons has defended Cade singularly. And so this is very good. Like, he's getting over the top of multiple screens. He's making life very hard on Cade Cunningham in this game. But he's also having to do this while being a starting point guard and also having to do this while the Pistons were like, you know what? We're going to do the same thing to you just with Asar Thompson. And Asar guarded Nembhard for 31 half-court matchups, which is the third most that he's guarded any single player in a game. Like, some way, somehow, the Pacers need to have somebody who's going to lighten this load at one end of the floor or the other. And it's very hard for them to play very many minutes with Andrew and TJ on the floor. And of their point guard combinations, that was typically the least effective one. Like, it was better when it was Andrew and Tyrese or Tyrese and TJ rather than TJ and Andrew. But they don't really have that much of an option here. So Pascal was getting way overburdened, having to do all of the ball handling that he was doing at the beginning of the season. It was literally the most isolations, the most drives, one of his highest double rates, and the most minutes that he had played with the Pacers in the early going. Jarris, I don't really like a lot of the Jarris lead initiator stuff. Like, it was out of necessity, but that I think should be kept at like a minimum if at all possible. Although he does, like Samson said, he has soft touch to be able to throw it over the top on occasion. But like, this stuff, like, this was a case where they really do need Benedict Mathurin to be able to take on more of these defensive reps at the very least. Like, I do not think it was great last night that he was guarding Tobias Harris for the majority of this game rather than Cade Cunningham, rather than Duncan Robinson, because of what some of the defensive snafus were up in Detroit. And then at the end of the game, on the go-ahead basket, who did Cade hunt for to get the bully ball basket? He wanted Benedict Mathurin in the action, and that's who he ended up scoring against, which the Pacers probably could have doubled there. They did not. Long story short, Benedict Mathurin been incredibly efficient offensively. I wrote an entire piece about how much I've liked his cutting and the fact that he's giving a lot of cut assists to his teammates with the way he's sucking in the defense. And he has done some things better, like at the end of the Charlotte game, got the chase down block. He can make some incredibly athletic plays. But for this season, in terms of winning, it can't be Andrew Nembhard 45 possessions against the other team's primary defender while getting the full brunt of the other team's best defender at the other end of the court as well. So again, that's why I don't want to hear from the Tyrese box score warriors, because this isn't stuff like, it isn't just that they're missing Tyrese's playmaking, Tyrese's hit aheads, Tyrese's pace, Tyrese's shooting. Certainly, they're missing his role normalization. Almost without Tyrese Halliburton, almost everybody on the roster is having to do something that they shouldn't normally be having to do, because in defense of Benedict Mathurin, like, this isn't an argument I would be making if Tyrese was on the team right now. Like, I wouldn't be like, oh, Ben needs to be able to take on possessions against Cade. You'd be like, well, we'll just split that up between Andrew and Aaron, and like, that's fine. If Ben gives you a lot of scoring off the bench, or if Ben plays his way into the starting lineup and gives you the scoring that you're used to getting, you're happy with that. It's just that everything is so out of whack because of the people who aren't available that it causes you to be like, you know, you need more from that person.
Yeah. And also, as a final thing, I saw so many people doing like the the Pacers. I can't believe how bad they are compared to last year. Just in the like wider conversation, I was like, dude, the team blew up on arrival. Like it
They
blew up.
realized that 9 players have been injured, and times Pascal's playing in lineups with 3 people who played in the G League last year. And while I like Talon Peter, who came off the bench for Liberty, like those are real lineups that are being played. What are people expecting here?
And they a lot of people are like, well, they don't have Hallie. It's like, dude, they don't have anybody. The team
Yeah.
blew up. It's so much more. It's so much more. It's hard to express how many like just hooks the Pacers have taken like square on the temple this season. It's been tough.